Hi, I'm Bill Merrell, and thanks for joining us today on Things They Usually Don't Teach You. This is going to be an interesting and difficult to follow because of the fact that this is not something that's unusual from the outside world. This is something that's dealing with our township and our school district today. Being on the school board and having a wife that's on the council, we have the opportunity to, in fact, see things from sometimes a joining view, but many times a separate view. But what we want to talk about today, what I want to talk from my own viewpoint, is the pool situation that the township is being faced with today. Next week, the township is going to have a community meeting at the middle school dealing with the desire of the community and what they want to provide for the park section. The school district has already made steps to, in fact, include a pool that will be a part of the new high school. Okay, let's start off with why we're here. Okay, the reason why I'm here is to explain to the public what exactly were the options. Okay, and the options that we have are unusual because of the fact that they have, there was 4 options. Okay, and one is, look at the slide here, swimming pools and how we got here. Okay, the desires of the community. It has been requested in every community survey done in the last 20 years that I know of that the township should have a swimming pool. Okay, while there are some private pools in the community, the waiting list is very long, and if you put a pool into your own property, it can cost up to $80,000, and basically in the Pittsburgh area, it's for a 3-month use. The 2 community organizations that could provide a pool are, as you realize, the township and the school district. Oh, I'm not using my own computer, so you'll have to excuse me here. The limitations for the township, the cost of the pool, splash parks for small children. Now they want to add a 6-lane competitive pool and other amenities, including bathhouse and other things to go with it to provide food and things. Only can be used during the summer months because it will not be under roof. Need to sell membership not only to township residents, but for non-residents and day passes too, to raise money to, in fact, help offset the large cost. The township would have to hire more trained personnel for pool use, including managers, lifeguards, concessions, cashiers, etc. They have to float a bond issue to finance all of this, and the long-term maintenance issues, which can be very expensive for a public pool. The school district has limitations also. The desire for an 8-lane competitive pool with diving board for use of the swim teams. Okay, seating for about 250 people. That's what we planned for this new pool. Deck space for the teams involved. Positive airflow so the chlorine doesn't overcome the swimmers or the patrons that are visiting. The major cost limitations is the total cost. The initial costs are going to be like $5 million for the school district. Okay, the usage of the competitive pool requires lower water temperatures, which then limits the township's use of our pool. We try to open it up to community, family swims and things, but the water's too cold, and most families go in for 15, 20, half an hour, and then get out. Okay, it can't be used during the public during school day because of the safety requirements and things that are required. And it's used all year by a very limited number of our entire student population out of 4,300 students of about 90 students. That's our swim clubs from both the middle and the high school. The potential solutions to all of our issues were a public-private partnership. Okay, it would require a low outlay of cash for both organizations, being the township and the school district. The problem is, of course, both organizations would lose absolute control over those functions and facilities and programs. Both organizations would save on long-term maintenance, okay, and the operational cost. We wouldn't have to hire new employees because both organizations that stepped up had experience and background in running these operations. You turn over the management to the people with experience, excuse me, you meet all the requirements of the community for the indoor and outdoor facilities, which could be used by everyone in the community, all 23,000 residents, all year long. Provide more year-round activities for all ages of the community, and increase tax revenue for both community organizations. The organizations that stepped forward was the YMCA and the Oxford Athletic Club, who also owns Cool Springs and Castle Shannon. Both organizations had experience in running athletic gym-type organizations plus swimming pools. The Y is a nonprofit, which was part of the discussion as far as taxes and income to the community, and Oxford is a for-profit and would have the provided property tax and rental revenue as well as occupational tax. Let's look at both of these organizations. The YMCA, the picture you see here is from the Spencer Family YMCA over in Bethel Park by Bethel Park High School. It is an excellent organization. I had the opportunity to be a member there for a while. It provided a lot of activities. The YMCA offerings included a all-purpose gym, state-of-art fitness programs, free weights, exercise, and everything you see there on the list. Okay, we're going to speed through this because of the fact that they were sort of took themselves out of contention here. They offered group cycling and indoor pool, locker rooms. The one thing that the Y that was talking to us here, and I don't want to get a comparison to the Spencer, we were not talking about an ice rink. Okay, so I don't want anybody to think that that ever came into the discussion. This was offering basically the same amenities that most of the YMCA's in fact offer their local community. The Spencer Family YMCA, you see the rows of athletic bikes there. This is a fine picture of a demonstration of most of the Y's programs. The problem with the Y coming with us, during the same period of time, they filed for bankruptcy in May of 2018. They immediately closed down 4 of their operations, and then they asked the courts to remove them from the bankruptcy program, and that was approved in July of 2018, only a few months later. This was the main reason both organizations decided not to go with them during that discussion. Plus, they wanted to keep requiring additional seed money. We started off with about $4 million, $2 million from each organization, the township and the school district, and that figure kept on doubling. So the seed money that they are offering were making it almost unable for us as a school district, because they wanted $4 million from us, and it cost us to build our own pool for $5 million. Now we're going to take a look at the other organization, the Oxford Athletic Club, that offered to, in fact, come in and work with the township in a private-public partnership. And I think that this is something that that the community has to understand. What was offered to us, Oxford was coming in and planning about a $30 million facility. They wanted to work on basically what was the school property closer to Center Church, a property that we didn't have any main use for, actually. The road that comes into the property, the school would be on the right-hand side, and the property that they were looking at would be on the left-hand side. Oxford Aquatics, because the swimming pool was the main reason we were looking at this whole thing to begin with. Okay, they offer both indoor and outdoor pools. They also offer splash pools for children with large slides and etc. Other amenities that the township is currently looking for. Excuse me. They were offering let me put it that way, 2 indoor pools. One competitive pool, which would have all the banners and everything for the Peters Township, all the records and everything else that the Peters Township Swim Club or swim team had. But in fact, they were offering to put another pool for the community with higher temperatures that could be used by everyone else. So they were talking about 2 indoor pools, an outdoor pool, which was very elaborate, and you'll see in a video here as we talk what kind of a system it was. Sand volleyball courts, playgrounds, gazebos, group swim lessons, okay, private swim lessons, swim team, all right, which I believe came into the discussion as a possible competitor to the rec club, which in fact we'll discuss tomorrow on part 2 of the program. The aqua fitness, you have to excuse me, my allergies are kicking up here. The Oxford Fitness program includes 72 cardio machines, an indoor track, basketball and volleyball courts. If you've ever been over in on Castle Shannon and seen their operation there, you'll know that it's a multifaceted organization. Personal training, the cardio class, and I'm going to try to run it here. Once again, I'm not working from my computer, so you're going to have to. This is, you saw what is offered. Sorry. Before it ends. This is the bike track that in fact is part of their organization. So when you see this large screen in front of you whenever you see the second video, this is one of the trips that in fact they offer. Okay, let me try to get back here again. Okay. Okay, once again, you'll have to bear with me today. Strength and toning, they have different programs to, in fact, offer individuals and classes. Functional training, Pilates, yoga, cardio, strength and toning, other amenities. And these other amenities are something that the community is now seriously lacking since the Rolling Hills Country Club has shut down. Okay? They offer a pro shop. They offer childcare. They offer Wi-Fi rooms. They offer boardroom that you can, in fact, rent for companies and things. Special events rooms. They were talking, if you've been over to Cold Springs, you'll know that they have a catering service that, in fact, allows you to, in fact, have organizations and meetings catered. Over there, it's a rather large facility that they were talking about installing that same kind of facility here. The Wi-Fi lounge that they have a youth zone that, in fact, allows the community to, in fact, if you don't want to go home or you just want to step out of your office and come and work in their Wi-Fi, they had the opportunity to do that. But they also have, just steps away, the dining facility, childcare, the fitness facility, and everything that you would need to, in fact, to work. I just talked to one of the faculty members here, and they spent the weekend having Easter brunch at the Oxford Wexford, and in fact, explained to me the facility that was outstanding. The boardroom conference room that they have available, the terrace and market cafes that they have available are available to the residents. Matter of fact, both organizations were going to be charging residents and non-residents if they wanted to join. The problem with the YMCA is the fact that they have a set fee, and that would have been the fee that they were offering. The opportunity for Oxford was the fact that they were going to discount their membership. And the discounted membership for a family would have been less than the one child in the swim rec program for Peters Township. So, I mean, like I said, when we look at all of these costs and figures and that, we do have to put them in perspective, that for a year-long membership was going to cost as much as one child in the swim program. Like I said, we'll talk more about the money tomorrow. The Oxford dining experience, like I said, I have not yet had the opportunity to actually enjoy dining there at Oxford, but they have the opportunity to, in fact, if you're working out, you can go there. If you want to go there for an evening dinner, or you want to go, they also have a bar set up where they have happy hour and things like that, which is something, once again, the community really needs, since Rolling Hills is no longer a part of the activity of the community. It had taken away the opportunity for a place for dining, for a place for weddings and things like that, and for especially a place for the people to get together. One of the unique things that they were talking about, and before we get into the slide on that, is the idea that we had the opportunity. Now, I was just talking about the swimming pool earlier, but we had the opportunity to, in fact, use their tennis courts. We had the opportunity to use their weight rooms. We had the opportunity to use other functional areas that they had. But for the residents, like I said, there are the dining facilities, there are the weight rooms, there are child care, there are the meeting rooms, there are opportunities now, and like I said, you'll see here in a little bit, the entire program that was available to us. Special event room, the locker rooms, things like that, keyless lock systems, showers and saunas and everything. These are all things that the community is going to have to pay for, but you're going to be paying almost, well, it's going to be close to 5 times as much as it would to add to the seed money. The racquetball courts, and this is something that everybody's going to be involved with. 7 indoor tennis courts, 4 outdoor hard true clay tennis courts, squash courts and racquetball courts. But they also had pickleball. And I mean, these are programs for all ages. They're not just for the teenagers growing up. They're just not for younger adults playing basketball at the rec center kind of thing. This is for all ages. And this is, I think, is something that the community really has to be aware of. It's hard for me to understand sometimes why we want to spend more money for less. And this is what's happened in this opportunity. TRX is a workout for everybody. I guess this is a new type of program for exercising that is pretty much on the forefront of everything that's going on today. Okay. As you see here, they have other programs. The Father Day Cookout, the Mother Day Brunch, Mommy and Me, which is a day, from what I understand, that the mothers and the daughters go and get their hair done and things like that. But these are functions that can't be done now, which is really something that everybody should be looking at. Once again, the John Vella Saloon is part of their organization. They also work with the Allegheny Health Network over there in Castle Shannon. They actually have a full staff of trainers and things. They were offering to bring that. You see Chase Anthony. That was the group that, in fact, caters their facility over in Castle Shannon, and that is the same organization that catered the, I believe, the Steelers down at the stadium. So, I mean, these are all things. And by the way, you see the dance conservatory, they're involved with them too. I want to take you to now a walkthrough of this whole thing. Once again, please deal with me as we're dealing with this, because once again, this is not my computer, but we'll try to work this so you can see and understand what they were offering. Okay. Let's look at what they were asking to be part of our community. They were asking for $2.5 million from each organization. Once again, that was half as much as what we were going to be getting building our pool. The pool's $5 million approximately. And the township was going to pay $2.5. They were asking for about 20 acres of land for the facility that they were going to put in, and including their parking, of course, which was mostly available on the school side of the property near the top center church. They wanted a low-cost lease. Both community organizations, that's the township and the school district, did not have the opportunity to, in fact, own the property at that time. So they wanted a low-cost lease, and that was all we were going to be able to talk to them. We weren't going to be able to talk to them about a sale or anything because we didn't own the property. As you remember, we took the property by condemnation, and then through the courts, we, in fact, did have the opportunity then to negotiate a sale price. So now both organizations do own our sections. The facility that they were offering was going to be a substantial upgrade to what they offered in Oxford, which was hard to believe. You saw the video of everything that they were offering. The school district would have had use of the competitive pool with all the amenities, as I mentioned, banners and school designs and colors and everything else for our team, but we would not have the expense of the long-term maintenance and everything else. That would have been on them. Other sports-related courts and devices were in discussion, such as they were going to put in a virtual green that if you wanted to play Pebble Beach, you could put the 16th green in Pebble Beach, you could plug it into the computer, and the green would actually undulate to be like the 16th green at Pebble Beach. You could do that to any of the major courts, Augusta or any of those others, and play those greens. That was one of the things that they were talking about bringing in. He said, what were they offering to the community? Okay, they were offering about a $30 million facility, something that we could not offer individually and or collectively from the community, including the indoor swim pools, one to be used, as I mentioned, as the home court for the Peters Township swim team, one indoor pool for the public use, outdoor swim pools, parking, splash pools, parking areas, other areas used in like golf and tennis and things like that. They were offering to cover the costs of the main road coming through the property. It was estimated at that time about $1.8 million, which is now in the $3.5 million range, allowing the district use of their parking facilities for overflow parking for future sporting events in the event that the district would build a stadium on that property, and substantial discount memberships to the township residents, including a summer family membership for those that did not want to be a member year long. What are the current projections for both organizations? The school district is now spending $5 million initial outlay, not counting the long-term debt, interest, and maintenance cost. For the township, looking to spend between $11 and $12 million for an outdoor facility, not counting the long-term debt, maintenance costs, plus other increased hiring. Okay, both of these will in fact be brought up in part 2 of this program, which will be filmed here tomorrow. All right, this is going to be a ongoing program that we have because of the fact that the township should really know what's going on. We don't have much opportunity to let the community know. Last April, I put out a very long letter, about 4 or 5 pages, discussing, the topic was, we have an $8 million plus issue that needs your involvement. I'm not against the swimming pools. I just think we should have looked at it from a more positive light for the benefit of the entire community. Okay, so that's, like I said, I'm going to let the figures speak for themselves tomorrow and discuss what has been done by both organizations. And in fact, we will have the opportunity to let the public make their feelings known at the public meeting here next week. The school board, when we originally looked at the swimming pool, it was a deduct. Okay, it had to be voted into the project. It was a 6-3 vote. And the money for the swimming pool has not yet been asked for. That has to be done in a vote this summer sometime. So, and like you said, this has been sort of an skewed program, and I felt that the public should know. So I just want to let you know what is coming tomorrow will be a look at the financial considerations that both organizations have taken a look at and what it's going to cost our community going in the years forward. Okay, so please pay attention for part 2 tomorrow, and we'll look forward to seeing you at that time. Thanks for visiting Things They Usually Don't Teach You. Hi, I'm Bill Merrell, and I'm thankful that you're joining us again for part 2 of a discussion on the swimming pool situation here in the township. Today's program will be the swimming pools, how we got here. Yesterday we talked about the options that were available, and today I'm going to be discussing the financial ramifications of selecting the options that the township and the school district have done. Let's look at the school project first, because that's the big elephant in the room. The economic life of this structure, being a brick building, is about 60 years. It was built in the mid-60s, and in fact, it's coming to that economic life, all right? This was a big determination when we were, in fact, looking at what we should be doing with the schools, and there were a lot of problems here which we had to face. A number of those you see on this slide. Number of classrooms and the teachers that were doubling up in this building were at least a minimum of 8. Lunchroom facilities required the students to start lunches around 9:45 in the morning, with sort of like Hobbit's breakfast B. Science rooms are undersized, unable to do long-term experiments. The auditorium was unable to seat a majority of the students at any given time. The gym did not fit the number of students of the population, and we could also not hold WPIL functions here, major functions with larger schools because of the size of our gymnasium. We had an outdated library facility that was built once again in the 60s. More updated classrooms and study areas were needed. We don't have an LGI in this large group instructional area in this school. We have small band and choir facilities. The original windows, as you see, were installed whenever the school was built in the 66 and 67. This kitchen facilities and the cafeteria were outdated. We only have seating for about 300 in here, which we in fact fixed in the design of the new building to seat about 600. So the number of lunches will be limited to not 4 like they are now. Lack of storage for custodial and stage requirements. And after 2.5 years of studies, all right, we promised that we could build a new school for around $90 million. The original price, as you see, that came in was about $120, and we negotiated it down, including all of those things that we thought we needed at that point. All of those areas discussed were taken into the account, and we were looking at the future requirements with the people that, in fact, study things like the population growth and things like that. The total cost of the facility today. Some of these costs were planned, some of them were not planned, and I see my slides sort of went out of kilter here. They were in line. The sewer improvements were something that was popped up on us at the last minute. We had to, in fact, change the sewer requirements. The OCIP insurance is the insurance that covers all the contractors on the site instead of having them charge us back for their costs for insurance. We cover the costs, and it's cheaper for us in the long run. The builder's risk and everything else, the architectural fees, those fees were set and established, but as changes have been made, those costs will be going up a little bit. The owner's representative, we have a person who represented us at the McMurray Elementary School and saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we thought it was good to have them represent us again here because they've been doing basically the same kind of function. The HVAC commissioning agent, once you get a HVAC system or heating and air conditioning, it's no longer that company, in fact, checks and makes sure everything's working. You have to have somebody come in and make sure everything is adjusted to meet the building requirements. The furniture, fixtures, and equipment you see there, the construction management, that is the construction management that actually deals with the oversight, the planning, and the control of the contractors while they're on the site. Moving cost allowance and things like that is what we have set and established for a cost of moving equipment that we'll be taking from this building to the new building at that time. The advertising costs for the different legal requirements, the court reporting and things that have taken place during these hearings when purchasing the property. The surveying to make sure that the township and the school district property is actually separated properly. The traffic study required by the state. Geotechnical services, this is what has found that there was a coal vein running through the property, so we had to revamp our construction activities to deal with that. We also have some other pyrite situations that have been found on that property, so it has cost us about $35,000 for their services. Environmental related by the different organizations and governments, permits, allowances, and things like that, construction testing, and it all comes down to the bottom line here. And the bottom line is, when we looked at this property originally, we'll talk about that in a minute, but the purchase of the property went from about $4 million to $7 million after we negotiated with the current owners of the property through the process of the courts. But those costs all were part of the construction contract cost, as you see there, of $83,175,000. What we've done is we adjusted the price for the pool to the purchase property price. So we took the purchase property price, put the price of the pool in there, and in fact came up with that $106,145,000, which now is the current figure for the school as it now sits. The problem that I have, of course, we promised the community a building of $90 million. Now there's some additional costs which are unforeseen, and that was all part of it. At that price, the pool was not included; it was a deduct. And the reason why I bring this up is because it took a separate vote of the school board, a 63 vote, to in fact include the $5 million swimming pool into the building, okay, and a vote to increase our debt to cover that cost will have to be done sometime in the near future. This is, they will tell you that this was all part of the original, and it wasn't, and this is the proof of it. And I wanted to bring that out to the community because, once again, we've been doing a lot of good things for the community as far as the school board is concerned. We've negotiated good contracts and things like that, which have kept the cost increases to a minimal for the community. But on the other hand, it's things like this that, in fact, you'll see are costing the community an awful lot of money. The cost of the main road going through the property itself was estimated to be about $1.7 million, and you'll see the asterisk there, and I'll bring that up later on. The most recent figure for that one road is now about $3.8 million. And it might go higher because the gas prices are now going up, so the asphalt prices will be going up. We still do not have the approval on the road that goes along East McMurray Road, so we don't know how that is going to in fact impact the price on that road that is coming through the property. There have also been additional expenses from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection because they have found a small number of watered vertebrae in the water runoff in the property. So that has cost us an awful lot to, in fact, make sure that those little vermin are in good shape and not disturbed. The cost of the property, which is supposed to be between $6 to $8 million from the financially distressed Rolling Hills Country Club to one of the members to keep it a country club, was changed whenever the two local government organizations decided to go after the property for the purpose of a park and a school board. Rolling Hills Country Club got another buyer after a tragic situation with the first one, and then the condemnation process was completed, and talks then with the owner went through, and the settled price was then $14 million for the community as a final cost, and that's $7 million for each side. That was the figure that was brought up earlier. The added expense to the school district. The swim club for the township has had the use of the pool for many years without paying for that use. They pay a minimal amount, a few $100s. One has to remember that Peters Township does not have a gym class involving the pool, so keeping this pool open has cost us about $9,000 a month. While a small number of students are members of the middle school and high school swim team, the total is about 90 students out of the 4,300 district students. So you, the taxpayers, are paying between $4,700 and $5,200 per student swimmer per year for just the cost of the bond issue. If you add the maintenance and upkeep, it adds about another $1,200 to a total of $5,900 to $6,400 per Peters Township swimmer per year. And it's always brought up to me that, while we have a football field that we pay for, but that costs about $35 per student per year to maintain and plan for the resurfacing every 10 years of that field. Added cost. So to keep this pool open all year, the current pool costs the district about $108,000. Our swim team only uses the pool from September through January, but still only uses it in total about 17.5% of the year available time. The swim club uses it about 75%, including during our swim season. And these figures are taken from the Department of Athletics. As I see it, for years I have been bringing up the idea of charging the club or the township the use of the facility. I brought this up during public meetings as well as discussions with the administration, and no action. So looking at the cost of $108,000 and say over the past 10 years that figure is only $95,000 times the usage of 75%, the district has spent $712,500 to support the swim team while using your educational funds. But in reality, the real cost is totally higher than this, and that's the problem that I have. And I liken it to you lending your neighbor a tractor and giving them your credit card, and they use the tractor. The maintenance is charged to your credit card, the fuel is charged to your credit card, and they keep it for years. So you're paying your credit card, and they get the use of it without any benefits. So if you have to spend the money there, you can't spend it doing other things. So that's why the $712,000 does not turn to be $712,000. It's more like $1.4 million, and that's the problem that I have with this whole thing. All of this during the contradiction that we charge our own students to participate in sports. Okay, and that's the problem that I have here. And there are a number of non-residents, a very small number, mind you, a very small number of non-resident students that are, in fact, a member of the Township Swim Club. And this is in violation of their own policy, non-resident policy that was revised in May of 2009. Not only do they are they not supposed to be non-residents, but as you see on the board there, we were given a reason for non-residents because there wasn't enough members to make up a swim club team, when in fact there are over 140 members. This all happens at a time whenever some of the board members are pushing for naming rights for the facilities, classrooms, hallways, and everything else in our building, our new building, while leaving all of this money on the table. And I find that hard to accept, that we're asking the community to pay for things whenever we're leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars not being properly used. The actions that I feel are needed: the Township and Club works out an agreeable and financially sound rental amount to go forward for this facility and the new swimming pool. The district should hire gym teachers needed to put back swimming into the curriculum. After all, we're spending millions for the pool. Everyone should have the opportunity to use it. After the swim season is over, the water temperatures be adjusted upward, including the summer months, while the township's pool will be available to them outdoors, so our community can use the pool after school's out for family swims. But that would not be, of course, during the WPIL season, whenever the water temperatures have to be turned on. And fees for the high school swimmers should be doubled to a maximum of $200 to, in fact, assist in paying for this operation. This is a very costly thing, and they should be shared by the people that use it. If the township puts a pool for summer use, the cost has been looked at between $11 and $12 million for the use of that pool, not just for the construction now, but you have a lot of other things to go along with it. There will be a pool that will only be used for 2.5 to 3 months a year based on the last 3 years of weather. The increase in taxes is projected in a very small amount. It's 0.01 mil, which is very small. Don't think I'm trying to push this out of proportion, because I'm really not. The cost of staffing, training for 4 months a year, including the opening and closing of the pool, will be in the $80,000 to $90,000 range, including the manager, lifeguards, maintenance people, cashiers, not counting concession stand people. The requirements for the personnel will be the pool manager has to be certified and also hold a pesticide applications license, because you have to keep the bugs and everything out of the area around the pool, so they have to know how that affects. Lifeguards must be certified, and if we taught swimming during our school year, then we could actually have lifeguard courses being taught, which would be beneficial. Let's look at the swim club for a minute. According to their website, the cost of a swimmer in the Mako group is about $1,300 a year, down to $1,100 for the youngest swimmer. Okay, as comparison to the Oxford Club that I demonstrated yesterday, their swim team costs about $600 a year for a private country club type swim team. There are 140 members of the swim team, or swim club, which include 3 non-residents, for at least an income of about $158,000 per year, and that's using the lowest rate of the $1,100 per year. So what does the future bring for the community? Increases in taxes from the township to cover the cost of expected amenities for this park, increase of operating costs for all the new township employees that have to be hired, a minimum of maximum state allowable tax increase for the school district every year for the foreseeable future. I made the comment not too long ago to one of the people involved at the school that the credit cards were maxed out, and I was not corrected. The problem is we are not in the position by any stretch of school districts that are distressed financially. We have an opportunity, as do the township, because of all the people now moving into the district, that in fact, and companies that are moving in, that the township has made substantial. And if you see the document that has been handed out recently, within the last couple of days, the township has made almost $500,000 on increased tax revenues from property closures and that this year, whenever usually that figure is around $80,000. A face-to-face comparison. Oxford Athletic Club wanted $5 million shared. Okay, we're going to get back a donation for the main road of $1.7 million. That was that asterisk that I talked about earlier in the program. We're going to get income in either rental fees or tax, transfer tax and continued real estate taxes on the 20 acres if we sold the property. All the amenities demonstrated in Part 1 of this program, including more parking, indoor and outdoor swimming pools, tennis courts, etc., etc. The cost to the district, $5 million plus. For the building of a new pool that our swim team uses a little over 17% of the time available during the year, costing the district over $6,000 per year per student. Maintenance cost of over $100,000 on the current pool and about the same for the future facility. And none of this is counting any replacement equipment. The cost of the township, between $11 to $12 million to build an outdoor pool. Upkeep and maintenance, as well as storage of pool equipment and necessities, the costs are unknown. Concession supplies and equipment, the costs are unknown. New township personnel cost between $80 to $90,000 per swim season, not counting the benefits and health coverage, insurance, etc. Major concerns for our community. There are over 300 new homes that are being planned under the township's so-called 2020 plan. Not understanding the impact of empty nesters leaving their homes due to tax increases, selling to young families with children, enlarging the need for more classrooms. Roads are basically the same as they were in the 60s when our high school was built. And the term is they constantly meet the minimum standards. Fees from new projects are being used wherever the township wants and not the site that the project funds are coming from. And before I am bashed saying I'm against the swim club or swim team, I am not. I was the one who was pushing for the upgraded Murtha pool, which is used during the Olympics. I am sure the swim club has taught our future swim teams to be much better than they would have been without them. But based on the costs which have not been made public, other than the letter I sent out last April via the internet, our taxpayers have not been made of the total cost and those that could have been saved by going with a public-private partnership. And as far as the maximum increase, Monica and I have decided that we will offer to the school district $1,000 yearly for the next 5 years to assist any student that is or are financially unable to pay the increased costs that I've suggested in this program. This is not to take the place of any of the programs that are currently offered by the district for persons that are financially stressed, and not meant to interfere nor take the place of other programs established. And all of this will be determined by the district. Once again, this whole program has been brought to your attention because of the facts that I don't think that the community has been made totally aware of the programs that could have been, the services that could have been offered to all the residents of the community. The problem with these pools, once again, the summer pool will only be open if the township builds it to, in fact, meet a few months of the year. The school pool will not be available to the community during the school hours. It will not be available during the swim season. And if we continue this relation with the club, it will not be available. Once again, the water temperature is the main factor here. The water temperature has to be reduced significantly. When we've had family swims in the past, they have not gone over well because the water is too cold. So families come maybe for a half an hour, have the opportunity to dive in the pool a couple times, but usually the water's too cold and they can't stay. So it has not been a successful program. These are all issues, including the fact that we don't offer swim during gym programs anymore. A few years, whenever I first came onto the school board, they got rid of gym teachers. You have to have so many gym teachers per gym class if you're using a swimming pool. And so like I said, what I recommend is that we look forward to, in fact, rehiring more teachers to, in fact, assist in this program if we're going to use this pool. The township should not be forcing, the school district and the township should not be forcing our taxpayers to, in fact, pay something as elitist as, $6,000 per student just so they can swim. We had opportunities to do this for a much more fiscally sounded program, and we failed to do it. So I just wanted to bring all of these facts to your attention. Do with them what you were. And like I said, I am certainly not against swimming. My stepdaughter swam in high school. She also swam Division I for Pitt. So I'm familiar with the requirements, the time and effort put in by the members of the swim team and their parents to, in fact, make them good swimmers. Peters Township used to be one of the nationally ranked swim teams in the 70s. People would move here when I was in real estate, and I've mentioned this before. People would buy homes in Peters Township so their kids could join this swim team. They would come from Michigan and California, everywhere, to, in fact, be in this school. I would love to see that happen again. But there comes a cost problem that we have. And the township, it was once again, the township, when I say the township in this context, I mean the entire, both organizations have failed to, in fact, look at the amenities that were available to us for low cost. Like you said, the school is now up to around $107 million. We promised the district $90 million. We're significantly over that. It's going to be a burden on those people that, in fact, and this came home to roost during the holiday season when Monica and I were looking at the programs that were offering Meals on Wheels, for one example, that there are people in the township that can't afford. They've been living in the township for 40 and 50 years, but they can't afford every meal because of the fact that their finances are limited. So this comes back to home, especially now that I'm retired and I'm looking at these folks and trying to assist where I can, that we need to pay more attention to all of the people, not just the people that are working and bringing in nice incomes, but we have to pay attention to all the people living in the community. That is a requirement that we have as governing bodies. That is a requirement that we should owe to the members of the community. I should have brought this up a long time ago, so you'd be aware of it. I am sorry for that, and like I said, I'm trying to do better. That's all I have. I just wanted to thank you very much for joining me on Things They Usually Don't Teach You, Part 2 of our financial position and how we got here. Thank you.